My dear students, good morning all of you. In the previous class, we discussed about the circular motion and also certain angular quantities like angular displacement, angular velocity, angular acceleration, and also the relation between the linear velocity and angular velocity v is equal to r omega, and another one is the linear acceleration and angular acceleration. Today we are going to discuss what is centripetal force, centrifugal reaction and centrifugal force and its applications. Okay, first one is here. We are going to start with centripetal force. So regarding the centripetal force, what is a centripetal force? That means a constant force which always acts at right angles to the direction of the motion of the body, causing it to move in a circular path, is called as centripetal force. Is always directed towards the center of the circle. That means in general what happens is, suppose if you are given a particle is moving in a straight line. Suppose if you apply force at right angles to the direction of this force, then what happens? It always deflects in the direction of the resultant of these two. If this force is acting continuously, then at right angles to the direction of motion, it always assumes the circular path. So, a constant force which always acts at right angles to the direction of the motion of the body, causing it to move in a circular path, is called as centripetal force. So, this is a constant force which always acts at right angles to the direction of motion of body, causing it to move in circular path. A constant force which always acts at right angles to the direction of the motion of the body, causing it to move in a circular path and directed towards the center of the circle, is called centripetal force. This is the point here. So a constant force which always acts at right angles to the direction of the motion of the body, causing it to move in a circular path, is called as centripetal force. And here this is always given by the magnitude of the centripetal force is given by F is equals to mv square by r, mr omega square, or mv omega. This is the different forms for the centripetal force. But force is nothing but, according to Newton's second law, is ma. Therefore, if you divide with mass, that gives the acceleration. Therefore, centripetal acceleration, if you are going to take that centripetal acceleration, A is equals to, or simply AC is equals to V square by R, or V r omega square or V omega. These are the different forms for the centripetal acceleration. Is it clear? So that is about the centripetal force. So can you give examples for the centripetal force? It's very simple. In that the first one is whenever an electron is revolving around the nucleus in a circular orbit, then the necessary centripetal force is provided by the electrostatic force of attraction between the nucleus and the electron, and is always directed towards the center. So, suppose you are given in that, let us say, example 1, if I am taking, first example is that when an electron of charge small e, when an electron of charge small e is revolving round the nucleus of charge Ze, when an electron of charge small e is revolving around the nucleus of charge Ze, in circular orbit of radius r, revolving around circular orbit of radius r, then the necessary centripetal force, is provided by the electrostatic force of attraction between electron and nucleus. This is the one example. Whenever an electron of charge small e is revolving around the nucleus of charge Ze, then the necessary centripetal force is provided by the electrostatic force of attraction between the nucleus and the electron. That means, suppose if you consider this is the nucleus of charge Ze, and now suppose this is the electron moving in this direction with the velocity. If this is r, this is having a charge Ze, then what happens? The necessary centripetal force which is directed toward the center is called as centripetal force. Therefore, centripetal force is provided by the electrostatic force of attraction, that is mv square r is equals to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Ze square by r square. This is a standard form. According to Coulomb's law, it is 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q1 q2 means E into Ze square by r square. So this is one example. So any force that is directed toward the center whenever the object is in circular motion, the force which is directed toward the center always considered to be the centripetal force only. And similarly, here this is one example, and another example also we can say The second example that what can I give in that is a satellite of mass small m is revolving around a satellite of mass small m is revolving around the earth of mass capital M. A satellite of mass small m is revolving around the earth of mass capital M in a circular orbit of radius small r. Then the necessary centripetal force is provided by a satellite of mass small m is revolving around the earth of mass capital M in a circular orbit of radius small r. Then the necessary centripetal force is provided by the gravitational force of attraction between the earth and the satellite. So, a satellite of mass small m is revolving around the earth of mass capital M in a circular orbit of radius r. Then the necessary centripetal force is provided by the gravitational force of attraction between the earth and the nucleus. Suppose this is the earth and this is revolving around like this. This moving the velocity v, and this is having a mass small m, this is having a mass capital M, this is r. Then the centripetal force, because this will be attracted by this, the centripetal force is directed towards the center. Centripetal force is equals to gravitational force of attraction. That is mv square by r is equals to capital G capital M and small m by r square. This is the another important example. Like that we can give many. For example, when a stone is tied to one end of a string and is rotated in a horizontal circle, then the necessary centripetal force is provided by the tension in the string. So this is about centripetal force. Then come to the other one. Another one is, suppose according to Newton's third law, for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. Thereby, the force that is direct toward the center is the centripetal force, that is the force exerted by the nucleus on the electron. Whatever the force exerted by the nucleus on the electron, in turn, the electron will also exert an equal and opposite force. That is called as reaction force, which is nothing but centrifugal reaction. Centrifugal reaction. What do you mean by the centrifugal reaction? That is, here it is also a constant force which always acts radially outwards on the agency, causing the body to move in a circular path, called as centrifugal force. This is also a constant force which always acts radially outwards on the agency. A constant force which always acts radially outwards on the agency, causing the body to move. On a circular path is called centrifugal reaction. That is, here also the magnitude, centrifugal reaction. That centrifugal reaction is also having the same magnitude as that of the centripetal force. This is the first one. So, a constant force which always acts radially outwards on the agency, causing the body to move in a circular path. This agent means here, when the electron revolves around the nucleus exerts the force on the electron. So here the nucleus is the agent which makes the electron to move in a circular path. Similarly, when a satellite revolving around the Earth, then the force exerted by the Earth is the action which is centripetal force, and that Earth will causes the satellite to move in a circular path. So here Earth is the agent, or nucleus is the agent which makes the electron or satellite to move in a circular path. And thereby, what are the force exerted by the agent on the object? In turn, the object will also exert an equal and opposite force, and that force is called as centrifugal reaction. And once you got the idea of that, here you may be given the same examples. That is example 1. What you can write is, when an electron revolves around the nucleus in circular orbit, then the force exerted by the nucleus on the electron is the action which is centripetal force. And in turn, the electron exerts an equal and opposite force on the nucleus, directed radially outwards, is the centrifugal reaction. This is an example that what you can give. So, when an electron revolves around the nucleus in circular orbit, then the force exerted by the nucleus on the electron is the action which is called centripetal force. In turn, The electron also exerts an equal and opposite force on the nucleus directed radially outwards and called as centrifugal reaction. That means electron exerts force on the agent. Here nucleus is the agent. Similarly, another example that we said, whenever the satellite revolves around the earth in an orbit, then the force exerted by the earth on the satellite is the action which is centripetal force. In turn, the satellite also exerts an equal and opposite force on the earth directed radially outwards called a centrifugal reaction. Like that also we can give. So like that we can give the example. But there are certain key points that what you can write. Here is the first one is centripetal force and centrifugal reaction are real forces. Centripetal force and centrifugal reaction are the real forces. Second one is they form action, reaction pair. If they form action, reaction pair, do they cancel each other? No, because action is on one body and reaction is on another body according to Newton's third law. Therefore, they do not cancel each other. Because they act on, because the action is on one body and reaction is on another body. This already we discussed in the Newton's third law. If both are acting on the same body, then it cannot form an action-reaction pair and net force becomes zero. But here, action is on one body and reaction is on another body, hence they do not cancel each other. That's very, very important point we should know. Now, once you got the idea of these two, you may be given, there's another force that exists whenever the object is in circular motion, and that is nothing but the centrifugal reaction. Now the third one is the centrifugal force means a constant force which always acts radially outwards on the body moving in a circular path. So this is a constant force which always acts, a constant force which always acts radially outwards on the body, a constant force which always acts radially outwards on the body moving in a circular path. Is called centrifugal force. So, centripetal force, centrifugal reaction, both are real forces, whereas the centrifugal force is a pseudo force. So, the point here is the centrifugal force is also the same, that is given by, centrifugal force is given by mv square by r or mr omega square or mv omega. All the time it is same, but now what is going on is here, The key points related to the centrifugal force is the first one is centrifugal force is a pseudo or unreal force. Pseudo force or unreal force or a fictitious force, we can call it as. And here the presence of centrifugal force can be felt when the object is in an accelerated frame of reference. When the object is in accelerated frame of reference or in rotation, then we will discuss what is accelerated frame of reference or non-inertial frame of reference. So that frame of reference are two types: inertial frame of reference and non-inertial frame of reference. A frame of reference which is at rest, then it is in which Newton's laws of motion of value called as inertial frame. Whereas a non-inertial frame means a frame of reference which is in rotation or in accelerated motion, then it is said to be non-inertial. These all will be discussed in later stages, because these are only foundation classes there, just to have an idea and the difference between centripetal force, centrifugal reaction and centrifugal force. Centrifugal force means a constant force which always acts radially outwards on the body, moving in a circular path, is called as centrifugal force. For all types of forces, the magnitude is same. But now, the key point here is centrifugal force is a pseudo force or unreal force. The presence of the centrifugal force can be felt when the object is in accelerated frame of reference. Suppose whenever you are moving in a circular path, or if you move in a bus on a ghat road where you have so many curves, then whenever the bus takes the curved path, the man in the bus bends or leans away from the curved path is only because of the centrifugal force. So, as and when you are, if the observer is in the accelerated frame of reference, then only he always experiences the pseudo force, which is nothing but the centrifugal force. Then what are the important applications of this centrifugal force? Regarding that centrifugal force, there are so many applications of the centrifugal force. Applications of centrifugal force. In that, the first one is centrifuging. That centrifuging means it is a device which is used to separate liquids of different densities in a homogeneous mixture. Suppose how we are able to separate buttermilk from the butter, or butter from the buttermilk. Generally what happens whenever you take the buttermilk and if it is churned with a churner, then what happens? All the buttermilk particles are subjected to uniform circular motion. When they are subjected to uniform circular motion, then what happens? The particles, the butter particle having lesser density will move in circles of smaller radius and stick to the axis of rotation. Whereas the denser particles, which are nothing but buttermilk particles, are thrown away from the axis of rotation so that the butter is separated from the buttermilk. Like that, sugar is separated from the molasses, cream is separated from the milk. These are all happen. It's a basic principle involved in that is centrifugal force. So, centrifuge means a device used to separate liquids of different densities in a homogeneous mixture. So, a device used to separate liquids of different densities in a homogeneous mixture is called as centrifuging. Now, the example that we can give is butter is separated from buttermilk, or otherwise cream separated from milk. These are all certain examples. A solute is separated from a solvent in a homogeneous mixture. For all this, the basic principle involved in this is centrifugal force only. That is, whenever a homogeneous mixture is subjected to uniform circular motion, then all the particle comes into uniform circular motion. The particles having lesser density moves in circles of smaller radius and stick to the axis of rotation, whereas the denser particles are thrown away from the axis of rotation, and thereby the butter is separated from buttermilk, or cream is separated from the milk, or otherwise the solute is separated from a solvent of a homogeneous mixture. Like that, this is one important thing. Now the second one is centrifugal pump. Second one, centrifugal pump. What is the application of the centrifugal pump? The centrifugal pump is also a device which is used to lift water from smaller depths. This generally takes place in the agricultural lands, because in agricultural lands water is available at a very lower depths. Therefore here it is a device used to lift water from smaller depths. It is a device used to lift water from smaller depths. That is here. Then what is the basic principle involved in this is, here it is like this, there exists a spindle like this. This is a basic thing that what you can observe in the centrifugal pump. A centrifugal pump is a device used to lift water from smaller depths. And here, if you can observe this one, this apparatus will mainly consist of a spindle to which several vanes, just like fan blades. Several vanes are attached to the spindle, and this is enclosed in an iron chamber provided with an inlet for water and an outlet for water. This is the first thing. Now, whenever this spindle is made to rotate by an external motor, then what happens whenever it rotates, the air will be taken out, so that a low pressure is created here. But here the water is at high pressure, so that the water just now rises into the chamber. Whenever it rises into the chamber, then what happens? Whenever it rises into the chamber, then all the water gets circulated, and this circulated water will be thrown away from the axis of rotation like this. Why? Because here whenever this is in rotation, the water is caught in between the veins, and thereby they are subjected to uniform circular motion. And these water particles will experience a pseudo force directed radially outwards, which is nothing but centrifugal force, so that the water is coming out through the outlet. This is also an application of centrifugal force. You may be given another question. That another one what you can give is, you can say that earth is, the third one is earth is flattened at the poles and bulge at the equator. Earth is flattened at the poles and bulge at the equator. Can I an example? How can you say that this has happened? This is also purely due to centrifugal force. That is the explanation when you are going to give. Here, Earth always rotates about the axis passing through the poles. Now, this is the equator, and these are the poles. Whenever the Earth rotates about its central axis, then all the particles in it are subjected to uniform circular motion. When they are subjected to uniform circular motion, the distance as you move from the equator to the poles, the distance of the particles from the axis of rotation goes on. For example, if I consider this one, like this, every particle will be subjected to uniform circular motion, so that here this is some value of 1. So as you move from equator to the poles, the distance of the particle from the axis of rotation decreases. We know that F is equal to mr omega square, because this moves with constant angular velocity. F is equal to mr omega square, m constant for a given particle, omega constant, therefore F proportional to r. As r value goes on decreasing, centrifugal force will also decreases. At the equator, r value is maximum, so centrifugal force is maximum, so all the particles are thrown away from the axis of rotation, so that it is slightly bulged at the equator. On and near the poles, the centrifugal force is minimum, therefore it is slightly flattened at the pole. So Earth is not a perfect sphere. For our convenience, we are taking that Earth is assumed to be a solid sphere. But it is slightly flattened at the poles and bulged at the equator. That is only due to centrifugal force. So here, what you can write is when earth rotates, about the axis, passing through the poles, then all the particles in it are subjected to uniform circular motion. All the particles in it are subjected. So when the earth rotates about the axis passing through the poles, then all the particles in it are subjected to uniform circular motion. Thereby what happened? Hence, the particles experiences pseudo force or centrifugal force. That is F is equals to mr omega, which implies F proportional to R, since m and omega are constant. Therefore, at the equator, R is maximum. Hence, R is maximum. Hence, the centripetal force is maximum. Centrifugal force is maximum. Hence it is slightly bulge. At the equator. Hence it is slightly bulge at the equator. And here at the poles what happened? R is minimum. And other one at the poles, R is minimum. Hence, the central force is minimum. Hence, it is flattened at the poles. So this is another application of the centrifugal force. And thereafter we had another one. The other parameter in this is banking of roads. Generally, whenever a vehicle is moving on a curved path or an unbanked path, the necessary centripetal force is provided by the friction. Suppose if this friction is not sufficient, what happens? The vehicle may skids. To prevent the skidding of the vehicle, the outer edge of the road is elevated over the inner edge. And that elevation of road is called as banking of roads. Understand? So, banking of roads means the elevation of outer edge of the road over the inner edge is called banking of roots. The elevation of the outer edge of the road over the inner edge is called banking of roots. Understand? For a banked path, the necessary centripetal force is provided by horizontal component of normal reaction. This is the point we should know. Whenever a path is banked, then the necessary centripetal force is provided by the horizontal component of the normal reaction. That means, so banking of roads means the elevation of the outer edge of the road over the inner edge is called as banking of roads. This takes place only on the curved paths. Whenever you consider unbanked path, the necessary centripetal force is provided by the friction. Suppose if the friction is not sufficient, it may skid. To prevent the skidding of the vehicles only, banking of roads should be done. And here, if you consider this, suppose this is the unbanked path. AB is unbanked path. AC is the banked path. Here AB is unbanked curved path. AC is banked curved path. So here whenever the vehicle is moving, then what is the meant by angle of banking? Angle of banking means the angle made by the elevated path with the horizontal is called angle of banking. That means, for example, if you consider this is a vehicle is moving on the unbanked curved path, the weight always acts vertically downwards is mg. This is the normal reaction. This you can resolve it into two components. This will be theta, this is n cos theta, this is n sin theta. We'll discuss the resolution of vectors in the later stage. Just you should have an idea. Vertical component is n cos theta and horizontal component is n sin theta. But the vertical component n cos theta is balanced by mg. The unbalanced force n sin theta directed toward the center, which is nothing but the centripetal force. So here from the figure, n cos theta is given by mg and centripetal force is provided by n sin theta. That is nothing but how much it is? mv square by r. Dividing these two, n sin theta by n cos theta, that is mv square by r into 1 by mg. These two gets cancelled. So tan theta is equal to v square by rg. Or theta is equal to tan inverse v square by rg. This is called angle of banking. So angle of banking means the angle made by the elevated path or banked path with the horizontal is called as angle of banking, and that is given by the formula tan inverse V square by RG. Got it? So just here you should know how this is resolved and all will be discussed in later stages. So this is the point here. If it is a banked path, for unbanked path already we said, we should know that for unbanked path, the necessary centripetal force is provided by friction. Therefore, F is equals to mv square by r. For banked path, the necessary centripetal force is provided by horizontal component of normal reaction. This is very important point. The second point what we said is, for banked path, the necessary centripetal force is provided by horizontal component of normal reaction. Therefore, here n sin theta must be equal to mv square by r. These two are important points related to the centripetal force. And after that, resultant acceleration. Generally, whenever an object is in circular motion, then it always experiences an acceleration directed toward the center is centripetal acceleration. At the same time, if you consider, because the direction of velocity continuously changes, it is the tangential acceleration. So, first thing, when an object is in circular motion, then it will have two accelerations. First one is tangential acceleration. AT is equal to dv by dt. That is nothing but r alpha. That is tangent. That is the tangent drawn at any point on the curve gives the direction of velocity at that point. Therefore, the corresponding acceleration is that. And the second one is centripetal acceleration, which is given by AC is equals to V square by R, or R omega square or V omega. So these two are in mutually perpendicular directions. Therefore, the resultant acceleration is A. Therefore, your angle between these two is 90. Therefore, resultant acceleration is given by A is equal to root over AC square plus AT square. That is root over V square, V power 4 by R square plus R square alpha square. This is the resultant acceleration. And once you got the idea of this, in case of note, in case of uniform circular motion, tangential acceleration is 0. Therefore, resultant acceleration A is equal to root of AC square plus AT square, root of AC square plus 0, that is AC. Therefore, A is equal to, in case of uniform circular motion, A is equal to AC is equal to V square by R. And finally, what are the equations of motion? The other one is equations of motion. In that, equations of motion related with the angular quantities, it is given by, the first one is omega f is equals to omega naught plus alpha t. Similar to that, v is equal to u plus at. This is the final angular velocity, this is the initial, alpha is the acceleration. Second one is theta is equals to omega naught t plus half alpha t square. And omega f square minus omega naught square is 2 alpha theta. And theta n is equals to these are the equations of motion. Here omega and naught, initial angular velocity. Omega f, final angular velocity. Alpha, angular acceleration. Theta, angular displacement. These are the standard forms that we have in this. So, this is briefly about the circular motion, the basics related with the circular motion. Okay? Are you able to follow all these things? Hope you understood well. So, in the next class, we will discuss another topic, that is vectors. Okay? Thank you very much.